Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are when you watch this video. My name is Altamirano and I am a teacher trainer. And today I would like to talk a little bit about differentiated instruction. Um, our students arrive in our classrooms with a variety of abilities, wants, and needs. And more importantly, they exhibit different learning strengths, learning styles, and language skills. And we need to be aware of all this. So this is really a very big challenge for us. Now, how can we overcome this challenge? Uh, well, one of the ways in which we can do this is by implementing differentiated instruction. But what is differentiation? Differentiation is never something that we just add on to a lesson. It's something that runs throughout what we do as teachers through the planning phase, the teaching phase, and the assessment phase of our lessons. Therefore, differentiation is what we do to help students make progress regardless their starting points. It means ensuring that all the learners, no matter their ability, interest, or context, have the support and the scaffolding they need to meet the learning intentions. However, there are a lot of myths around what differentiated instruction is. It is a very useful tool, but many people have certain misconceptions. And some of these misconceptions are the ones I'm going to mention right now. First of all, differentiated instruction is not individualized instruction. It is true that it offers multiple ways of learning, and although it aims at attending to students as individuals, it doesn't assume a separate assignment for each learner. Also, it's not chaotic. The fear of losing control in the lesson is a major concern of all of us. But in an effectively organized, differentiated classroom, orderly flexibility is a defining feature. Also, it's not another way to provide homogeneous grouping. Flexible groupings accommodate students who are strong in some areas and weak in others, because the goal is to have students work with a variety of peers and with tasks that are designed to draw on the strengths of all group members and also to share up the students' areas of needs. Also, it's not tailoring the same suit of clothes. It's not letting students volunteer to answer questions or grading some students a little harder than others in response to their perceived ability. Such modifications show an awareness of differences in students' needs, but it's not enough to address significant learning issues. And finally, it's not just for learners who struggle. Learners who have identified learning challenges, of course, need constant support or support on a regular basis. But students who learn rapidly, think deeply, and make meaningful connections also need challenges on a regular basis to grow academically as they should. Otherwise, they would be bored or disruptive in the classroom and they would not progress to their full potential. So, what is what is differentiation? Differentiation is relevant, rigorous, and proactive. The effective differentiated classroom is designed to be robust enough to challenge all learners in the classroom. It is more equitative than quantitative. A learner who has demonstrated mastery of one skill is ready to stop practicing that skill and move on to a subsequent one. So adjusting the quantity of an assignment will be less effective than altering the nature of the assignment to match the actual needs of the learner. Also, differentiated instruction is rooted in assessment. Diagnostic pre-assessment routinely takes place at the beginning of a unit to throw light in individual learners' needs and process in relation to the unit goals. Throughout the unit, we can assess students' readiness levels, interests, approaches to learning, and we can design experiences that are based on the latest understanding of their needs. Also, differentiated instruction is taking multiple approaches to content, process, and product. By differentiating these three elements, we can offer different approaches to what students learn, how they learn, and how they demonstrate their learning. Also, it is, of course, student-centered because the focus of everything we do is the student. It is a blend of whole class and group and individual instruction. And it's organic and dynamic because students and teachers learn together. Ongoing collaboration with students is necessary to refine learning opportunities so that they are effective for each learner. So, how do we go about planning differentiation? Planning is one of the keys to managing an effectively differentiated class. And indeed, before you can differentiate effectively, you need to know more about your learners so that you can plan and prepare the kind of differentiation that you might need for them. And bear in mind that no matter how much you plan and how well you know your students, unexpected things can happen. You may have unexpected replies, questions. Just because you thought something might work well doesn't mean it will. So be flexible, be ready to think on your feet, adapt what you are doing as necessary. This adaptation and flexibility is at the heart of good teaching. So if you want to achieve differentiation, the first thing you need to know is to get to know your learners. This is harder to do if you have large classes, but devote some time in the first few classes or weeks to make notes about learners that will help you gradually build a file, because your ability to differentiate will depend on how much time you spend with them, how much time you have available to do observations and assignments, how closely you get to observe the learning of different learners, how much support you have from other staff, the size of the class, the time you have available for planning. So there are a lot of things that we need to bear in mind when we plan. Now, the hardest part is when you go into a class cold, let's say. That is, when you know nothing about the people you're going to teach. In a situation like this, it can be useful to do, first of all, some kind of getting to know you activity. Ask them, for example, to figure out who the rebel in the class is, what their likes and dislikes are, for example, books, music, films, who they think is best at your subject, because you might need their help later. So this puts power in the hands of the students and lets them see that you are going to be responsive to their needs. Also, set some information or idea gathering activities so that you can find about how much they know about your subject. Set up short group discussions and move around listening to them. You can do a quick poll, a quick quiz, a show of hands. Using an app can be useful for this too. Also, ask the group to write down what they want to find out or to know about as a result of your time together. Then flick through the answers to get a feel of what they want. If you know ahead who you are going to work with, the better prepared you will be for differentiating in the classroom. Still, you could look to see what information there is on file, especially if there are problems you need to be aware of. You can look at samples of learning from previous years, for example, portfolios, check results of tests and other assessments, get information from previous teachers, ask learners themselves to send you a letter or an email, for example, telling you about themselves. Now, the way you plan will vary according to the needs of your class and the format that your school asks you to use, of course. But you can always have a separate box or a section marked differentiation in your lesson plan, where you identify the specifics of the differentiation you will do. You can also highlight objectives that you wish certain students to achieve during the class. You can make a list of keywords and key terms that you want everyone to understand, highlight a few more complex ones that will challenge the class, for example. Use a code to identify learners with specific needs and write notes about the strategies that you will use with them. And think about the type of planning that will work best for you. So when you're considering the type of plan, you may consider the following. What prior knowledge or skills the learners have on the topic that you are working with or you will work with during a lesson? What central skill concept of knowledge you want students to grasp, in the lesson? Which specific learners need differentiation? Has any learner already achieved this? Who might struggle? How are you going to stretch and support students, that is, challenge and support the students? What elements of choice are there for the different students? How many levels of complexity are you planning to have? How are you going to manage breakout groups? This applies both to online and to face-to-face classes. And what opportunities for different groupings and peer learning are you offering the students? One approach to planning is to figure out what level you would expect the main body of the class to be at already, and then think of the challenge and support. This will help you consider potential strategies for differentiation. For example, a top task might be to turn examples of indirect speech in a dialogue using correct punctuation. And the tail task may be to add the speech marks into some dialogue that has been written out already. Now, as Piaget reflected, the heartbreaking difficulty in pedagogy is that the best methods are also the most difficult ones. Although managing a differentiated classroom isn't always easy, I think that the benefits are worth the challenge. And if you will allow me, I would like to share with you a few tips that you can use to meet the challenge of designing and managing a differentiated instruction for your learners. First of all, have a strong rationale for creating a differentiated classroom and share it with students and parents. If you help them understand and contribute to your view of the classroom, they are likely to support you. Begin at a pace that is comfortable for you, but take small steps, one thing at a time. You don't need to differentiate everything all the time. Choose what to differentiate and when. Otherwise, you're going to be overwhelmed and you're going to give up. Also, create and deliver instructions carefully. Instead of giving multiple sets of instructions to the whole class, give task cards to individuals or groups. Use simple language and bullet points. This will make things easier and quicker for you. Also, promote on-task behavior. Agree on class rules. Convey to students that this will help them do better quality work, and create a system to assign pupils to groups quickly and effectively. Engage students in talking about classroom procedures and expectations. Have conversations about what you are all experiencing individually and as a group. We seldom do this, and it's very useful. And last but not least, plan, 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 and share work with colleagues. Now, I'd like to share with you some, just three references that can throw more light on different ways of approaching differentiation and how to make an inclusive classroom thanks to differentiation. If you would like to contact me, here you have my contact. You can find me on LinkedIn. Also, I'm building my WordPress blog. I have a YouTube channel. And here you have my email address. Thank you very much and hope to see you. Bye.